I came up with this podcast yesterday. I even wrote some of it in the car. And even though I touched on this topic in another podcast like 10 years ago, this lesson is even better.
Welcome to another Happy English podcast coming to you from New York City. And here's your English teacher, Michael.
All right, thank you, John, and thanks, everyone. It's Michael here from Happy English, and I help people speak English better. And this is Happy English Podcast, episode 880, 7 Ways to Use Even in English. Hey, thanks for tuning in, and welcome back to the Happy English Podcast. So let me ask you, have you ever heard someone say something like, "It's even hotter today than yesterday," or "He even brought his cat to the party," and thought, what's going on with that little word, even? It's just 4 letters, but even does a lot of work in English. Native speakers use it all the time, in comparisons, for contrast, for emphasis, and in a few fixed phrases too. So today, let's break it down. I'll show you how to use even naturally, and of course, we'll look at plenty of real examples. So let's get started. First, what does even do? Basically, in a nutshell, even adds emphasis. It shows something is unexpected, surprising, or extreme in some way. And depending on where it appears in a sentence, it can have a few different meanings. First of all, we use even for surprise or emphasis. Let's say you're at a party and your coworker shows up with his cat in a little outfit. Yeah, that's surprising. So you might say, "Wow, he even brought his cat to the party." That's how we use even, to show surprise or to highlight something that's a little extra. Like, "I can't believe you remembered my birthday. You even baked me a cake." You even baked me a cake. It wasn't just a card, it was a cake. That's a surprise. And even also works in a negative situation. "They canceled the meeting without even telling me." That has a, hey, not cool feeling, right? It's like, they didn't even let me know about the meeting. So, when you want to highlight something that's unexpected or surprising in a good or bad way, even is your go-to word. Next up, we use even with comparative adjectives to make the comparison stronger or more extreme. Like, "The exam I had this morning was even harder than last week's exam." Last week's exam was tough, but this one, phew, even harder. Or, "It was hot yesterday here, and it's even hotter today." More than yesterday. Or maybe you have that one lazy coworker who doesn't quite get the concept of punctuality. You can say to him, "You're late again?" The boss is going to be even more frustrated with you than he was on Friday. This little word even just pushes the comparison further. It's like turning up the intensity. I mean, do you think this podcast is even better than the one I put out last Monday? All right, let's talk about even though and even if. Even though. This is a great way to show contrast between two ideas. Kind of like although, but stronger. Remember, even gives emphasis. Even though it was raining, we went hiking. Rain usually means no hiking, right? So the contrast here is strong. That's why we use even though. Even gives emphasis to though. Like, even though Tommy studied a lot, he failed the exam. And about my friend Anna, even though she's rich, she still shops at discount stores. In these cases, even though helps show that what happened isn't what you'd expect. And by the way, be careful not to mix up even though with even if. We use even though to talk about something real or true. Even though Tommy studied a lot, he failed the exam. But we use even if when we talk about situations where no matter what happens, the result will be the same. To understand even if, let's review if for a moment. If it rains tomorrow, we're going to cancel the picnic. This is the first conditional, and we use if to talk about what's likely in the future. I don't know what the weather will be like, but if it rains tomorrow, we're going to cancel the picnic. So, even gives a special emphasis to the if clause, which is like, that condition doesn't matter. Like, I really enjoy going to the beach, so even if it rains tomorrow, I'm going to drive down to the beach. This means, regardless of the weather, I'm going to go to the beach. Here's another example. Even if I study all night, I don't think I'll pass the test. Even if I study. This means I'm so far behind in my studies that studying all night is not going to help me pass the test. That's why I say, even if I study all night, I don't think I'll pass the test. See what I mean? Even if adds this feeling of, I don't care what happens. The result is going to be what it's going to be. By the way, we've also got a few fixed expressions that use even. These are super common and they sound really natural. The first one is even so. Even so means despite that or but still. Like, I told her it was going to rain. Even so, she forgot her umbrella. It's like saying she did it anyway. Or the jacket was expensive. Even so, I bought it. In other words, despite the price, I bought it. That jacket was expensive. Even so, I bought it. Next is even now, which gives emphasis to now. Even now is about time, and it means still or at this moment. Jack suddenly quit the job last month. Even now, I don't understand why he left the company. Or, I tried texting her a few times last weekend, but even now, she hasn't replied to my message. There's a nuance of surprise or frustration like, wow, really? Still? Even now, I don't know why she hasn't replied to my message. The last one is really common in conversation. Even better. You're going to love using this one. It's perfect for when something turns out to be more awesome than expected. Like, your friend just got a new job, and they gave her a bonus for joining the company. You can say, you got the job and a signing bonus? Even better. Or your friend invites you to dinner and surprises you with something homemade. You can say like, wow, an awesome homemade meal, and you made creme brulee for dessert? Even better. That concert was amazing last night, and when the band introduced Elton John as a special guest, even better. Even better is a short way to say, that extra thing made a good situation even better than it was. It's great for everyday conversations. All right, let's wrap up with a quick review. We use even to show surprise. He even brought his cat. We use even followed by a comparative for strong comparisons. This exam is even harder than the last one. We use even though for contrast. Even though I was tired, I kept working. We use even if to say that regardless of the condition, the result won't change. Even if it rains tomorrow, I'm going to the beach. And then we looked at 3 fixed phrases, like even so means despite that. The jacket was expensive. Even so, I bought it. Even now means like a strong still. Even now, she hasn't replied to my message. And even better means more awesome than expected. She made dinner and my favorite dessert. Even better. Okay, here's your challenge. Try using 1 or 2 of these even phrases in your own English this week. Think about something surprising that happened, or a time you did something even though it was difficult. Try using those sentences in your conversations or your writing. And hey, if you want to practice these with me and a group of other awesome learners, come check out my Podcast Learners Study Group. We meet once a week and go over the language from these podcast lessons together. It's a great way to build confidence and improve your speaking. Just check the link where you are listening to this podcast right now, or visit myhappyenglish.com and choose podcast lesson 880 for more info. Thanks for listening. And remember, learning another language is not easy, but it's not impossible. And I'm here to help you on your journey.
This podcast was brought to you by Happy English. Please visit myhappyenglish.com. Show your support for Happy English by leaving us a review. Get English, get happy, Happy English.